Welcome to a super duper exciting edition of Inside Media Weekly. I'm Ryan Bonhai. I'm here with, joining me on today's panel, Kevin Bastos in the high chair.
Thanks for welcoming
Up high. Don't want you to be sunken down. You feeling all right over there?
I'm feeling swell.
Good. I feel a little low myself, but Justin Pitto's just shrinking
Is a
down in
little
his
low
chair
Hey,
as well. Welcome everybody to the
Beats
show.
not having a chair.
Truth. Very true. Yeah.
Speaking of not having a chair, hey, it's the Sea Otters.
Oh.
I was just thinking before the show, we need can we get a camera that's just in the corner of the studio and it just have a live feed of just people walking randomly around?
It's not a bad
Just
idea.
I mean, I think
It'd have to be a place where, you'd put appropriate content on, not like people slipping in and out of school or...
I think we have a camera
leaving
for that
school
already.
early.
we have
I gotta say, I am not a late arrival kind of person, but I came to school 10 minutes before the arrival time. That parking lot was very empty. Very, very empty.
I don't want to say I see the same people all the time in the parking lot when I arrive and what time it is, but I do.
Touche. I can't. It makes me crazy. Even come to school 10 minutes early, I was giving me little hives.
The traffic pattern changes dramatically in those, you wait a couple more minutes.
I understand.
It gets complicated.
I remember you saying a lot, everyone says teachers have these crazy short hours, but I come to school and there's not many people on the road, and I go home and there's a lot of people out there.
Traffic is bad. Many places.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Speaking of traffic!
This was an interesting discussion. Hey, speaking of traffic, let's look at the bad guys. Number one, yet again, 2 weeks in a row. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 coming in at number 2.
How many weeks has that been out?
Which one?
Sonic the
That would
Hedgehog
be
2.
4 weeks, it looks like, in the...
It's a pretty impressive run.
And then Fantastic Beasts.
Not as impressive. New Harry Potter.
No, much less impressive there.
Yeah.
That total gross is...
79 million's a little low.
Yeah.
Obviously, and there's a story later in the show that actually talks a little bit about
Oh.
so, but
I didn't see that.
But the expectation, of course, is that Warner Brothers will make its money back on Fantastic Beasts, overseas and stuff, even though it's kind of low so far. The Northman stays at number 4, and Everything Everywhere All at Once comes up to
doesn't
number
look
5.
like it did too good, did it? Really?
No, and this is not that it's a great time for movies, but we're sort of getting into the time for movies. I mean, they used to start summer movies last week of March or whatever, and now it's
I think it starts tomorrow.
Starting
Touché.
this week,
oh yeah, tonight, yeah, it's gonna be.
which we're gonna get to.
My children already have tickets.
Oh, nice! Wow.
I've raised 2 smart children.
So, of course, we're talking about Doctor Strange, which will be the new Doctor Strange, I should say, which will be debuting this week. And we're only 2 weeks away, from Top Gun Maverick, so we're into the summer season.
Top Gun Maverick, which has been delayed.
2 years or a year and a half?
God, I feel like you might as well be 22 years, the way it feels.
Well, it actually is over 22 years from the first film.
Well, that is true, yes.
So,
But they announced it how long
It
ago?
seemed like a long time.
Top Gun was before your life, right?
No, Top Gun was in the 80s, right? Top Gun
I
was
think
in
it
the
was
1980s.
84.
Well, I'm 40. I was born in 1981.
Oh, okay. So, did you see Top Gun in the theater?
I did
Mr.
not.
Joe? Okay.
I did not.
No.
No,
Follow that bird
To be
instead.
fair, I didn't
or
see it in the
some such
theater
thing.
either. I didn't see it until it came out on video.
I think
I
I
was
saw
alive
it on HBO.
when it happened.
Yeah. So, there was a time when everyone was crazy for Karate Kid, and then everyone was crazy for Top Gun, and everyone was crazy for whatever. I had a cousin who joined the military just for that movie, and
Wow, that's
did not remain in the military.
Yes, I just think I'm not sure which one of these is the first, but I saw Ghostbusters 2 in the movie theater, and that has to be before.
And was that before you had seen
Aladdin.
Ghostbusters? Or
I had not seen Ghostbusters.
What a way
Wow,
to-
I believe
what
you're
a
the
way to
only
see
one.
it.
Well, I mean, I was I'm trying to remember my first movie that I went to the theater that I can remember. I think Ghostbusters 2 was early 90s, right? Late 80s?
Yeah, I'm thinking it was 89. Is that
Yeah,
right?
Ghostbusters 2 is 89, I believe.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I saw Ghostbusters 2 in the theater. I saw Aladdin. No, Little
91
Mermaid.
is Aladdin. Little Mermaid is, I think, 1989 as well.
I saw those. Those are the first movies I can remember seeing in the theater.
I think the first movie I can remember seeing in a theater Like I saw a couple drive-in movies before then, but in a theater it was either Black Hole or Caveman with Ringo Starr.
Unfamiliar with those titles.
I would not recommend looking up Caveman. It is terrible.
Will not. You mentioned Follow That Bird. I know I've seen Follow That Bird many times, but
I
I don't.
mentioned Follow That
But I do not. I do not think I don't remember seeing it in the theater. I know we had it on VHS.
85, 86.
I know we had it on VHS, and I watched it a lot.
Okay. I can see that.
That poor sad bird singing in the cage.
Oh gosh, I remember that. Chevy Chase did a cameo in that film.
I do not remember that.
Chevy Chase.
That's a lot of.
He goes heading to Sesame Street, and then he goes, sorry, Sesame Street. That yes, that's how many times I've watched the movie. So
I watched it a lot, but I don't think I've seen it since 1980 something.
have you seen Elmo and Grouchland?
I actually saw Elmo and Grouchland in the movie theater
Wow.
and wrote a review for Smoke Signals. We can check the archives for that.
How many?
How
many stars did you give it?
I don't remember,
Okay.
but it was.
Impressed? Not impressed.
Oh, I don't remember being impressed.
I might need to message Mrs. Keith tonight.
I believe I had to fill. I saw a lot of movies one weekend and had to write a lot of reviews to fill the section.
Just imagine.
Did a restaurant review also.
this?
Whatever restaurant I forget what restaurant it was. I did a restaurant review of that same issue.
Hopefully you didn't put them out of business. The rest
I don't remember. I mean, I might have it. I might have the. I'll look. I have a lot of Smoke Signals.
Please. Oh, please.
I'll have to see what I
To
think
wait
of
for the
some
next
archives.
edition to on that.
We've crossed over a line here I never thought we'd get
I want to
to.
say, and if memory serves, I want to say it was the issue in October, and it had to be early October in 1999. October 1999
Wow.
Smoke Signals.
Wow. All right, we will have to pull up
Please.
the archives
Yes.
and
Oh,
see
please.
what.
Please.
I can't remember what kid told me, hey, I showed you that paper in class today, but I think it was, I saw Elmo and Grouchland in October 1999 in the theater.
Mandy Patinkin's in that.
I don't remember that.
Oh, Mandy Patinkin.
I can see the bad guy in my mind right now, but
It is Mandy Patinkin.
inside me, that's the bad guy?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't put that together. Wow.
Elmo and Grouchland is
Inside
Mandy
Media
Patinkin.
1999 edition.
Just saying.
Speaking of 1999, we can go back 2 years, even further. 1997. You remember it well. It was the it was the year Netflix launched. It's 25 years ago, which is crazy. I think everyone watching our show, all our fans, are aware of
Fan.
the.
All our fans.
Fan, let's be truthful.
They're all aware of the Reed Hastings story of why Netflix started. His Apollo 13 video cassette from Blockbuster that he had to pay $40 for, late fees, and he said, "I don't want to do this anymore," and started a global empire after that. Of course, Netflix has been amazing as far as being ahead of the curve on a lot of things. They had the directed to, the DVD mail service up front, but also they got into streaming real fast. I think we all kind of remember.
Didn't they need money and went to Blockbuster and said, buy us, and Blockbuster said no?
Yeah, they said you're crazy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you watch the Blockbuster documentary on Netflix?
I need to. As a former
fantastic.
Blockbuster employee,
You absolutely should.
I need to watch it.
You absolutely should.
I might still have a Blockbuster shirt. I can wear it on the show sometime.
I had my Blockbuster card until recently.
Oh, it's tough to get rid of that stuff sometimes.
I know.
Keep it in a drawer somewhere.
No.
Just in case.
Shred
Just
it.
in case.
There's
they come
one.
back.
There's no
I
one left.
truly shredded it. There's one left still.
Yeah,
thought it
right. I thought
closed.
one.
Is
I
it
thought
still-
the one
is it still open?
in Oregon.
Oregon, still open.
I thought so.
Watch the documentary. It's fabulous.
The amount of late fees that people paid, the amount of I would call the same people, be like, we need back this Nintendo game, and you currently owe us $212.
Although to be fair, I think for Reed Hastings, I think he said Apollo 13 was like 6 weeks late, and he was only paying $40 for it. I don't
That's
know if
unbelievably.
terrible.
I mean, I don't remember it ever capping. I mean, I don't. It's been, late '90s, but
Well, the whole collapse of Blockbuster was built on one thing, but the second thing it was built on was they canceled the late fees.
I remember that promotion, no more late
Yeah.
fees.
Yep.
Late fees.
They
That's got to be a
canceled it.
lot of
Yes.
lost income.
Yes.
And people not bringing stuff
Yes.
back in a timely
It
fashion.
was a time when they were starting to decline, and that just accelerated it into oblivion.
That had to crush revenue.
It destroyed it because everyone was just like, everyone went to the store, rented it, and never
Never brought it
returned
back. It's free.
They
Almost.
never returned it. It was $3 or $5
Yeah.
to rent it, and then you just owned it forever. No big deal.
As long as you just like to have it in that clamshell.
Hey.
That just has the name on the spine.
Those were not display model anything. So I think I still have a copy of Pearl Harbor I bought on DVD from a closing Blockbuster store.
Nice.
Boy, this is just a fantastic
So,
show so far.
Netflix.
Yes.
Knocking it out of the park.
So, going a little bit forward with Netflix, of course, they were the first really to jump into streaming. I think we all kind of remember where Netflix app would show up on every single device on the planet. I mean, you had the early, the Wii would have the Me Creator, that weird weather app, that weird sports score app. There was Netflix, and then there was
The question app, too. Remember that?
That's right.
I love that. My kids loved that. They wanted to do it every day.
And then, of course, they got into original programming, and they were like Pixar there for a while. It was, House of Cards, of course, being basically the first, the big one. Orange is the New Black. I mean, they had about 4, 5, 6, like great.
The Marvel shows.
And they were all very good. They were all very, very good.
Well, the story this week is, for the first time in the history of Netflix, they lost subscribers in Q1, 200,000, and they are predicting 2 million more losses. Now, granted, they're in the hundreds of millions of subscribers. Not a big deal, but I think there is got to be some concern for Netflix. I mean, when they started doing the original programming, they were like, hey, everything that we're giving people is stuff that other people own. And now all these other services are starting to pull their stuff back, and Netflix is kind of stuck with, the occasional big old studio production. But for the most part, now a lot of people are getting them just for the original programming. They spend billions of dollars on programming and don't necessarily get that money back. How do you feel for the future of Netflix? I mean, it's probably at least in for the long haul, but a good bit. But is it going to just continue to decline from this point on as everybody offers a service?
I think we're in a weird spot with like how many services there are. Like you said, Disney started to pull back their stuff, and they lost MCU stuff because Disney took it, and all the different things. But it's kind of, I was talking with somebody about cutting the cord and getting streaming services, but it's become kind of like, well, I want to watch this one show, and then I got to get that streaming service, and I got to get, and by the time if you got to get AMC, and you got to get Paramount Plus, and you got to get, sometimes you're just better, like, I might as well just keep my cable and have all the channels, because I'm not paying $5 for AMC to Comcast.
Right.
And then I might be paying a little bit more, but then I have tons of other things that I could possibly watch, because it's just gotten to be so many. I found out my Netflix still works, because I went back to watch Better Call Saul, season 5. I was happy. I was like, oh, they got the Netflix icon on my Roku here. Let me clicked it. My name popped up. I'm like, Better Call Saul. Yes, here we go. But yeah, I think
We
they're
just started watching Breaking Bad. We're halfway through season 2.
first time ever.
No, second time.
Okay.
We're going back and rewatching everything all the way through El Camino.
Yes.
Then going to go back and watch all the way through Better Call Saul, all the way through the finale.
I like it.
So
I was talking about when this is all out there, when
great.
it's all done. I was thinking about doing the same thing, just like, do I watch it in release order, chronological order? That's a question for another
We're
time.
doing
but
release because we have not a long slinging debate. But we are some of the people who say Better Call Saul's better than Breaking Bad, and I'm going through and watching it. Not that it's aged poorly, that's not the right way to put it, but things that they said or did at that time you can't say or do anymore, which is a little tough. But it's
in Breaking,
it's still outstanding. Just incredible how great it is.
I found Breaking Bad to be push the level of believability
Yes.
to a point where it's like you can kind of do, but Better Call Saul just seems so much more
Yes.
contained, so much more. I mean, it's outlandish, it's crazy, but it seems more believable, for lack of a better word.
And that's a story with a guy who believes he's allergic to electricity. I mean, and that's insane as itself, but it's portrayed as a mental disorder of him that everyone sort of just backs away from and says, this is okay. To me, the decline of him, Saul, as an individual is more believable. That step down, slow step down, slow step down. Where Breaking Bad, for him to go from, a guy with cancer to a guy who makes meth in 3 episodes is tricky for me to believe. But outside of that and the one Fly episode.
The Fly. That is the worst episode.
Yes.
It is. I believe we've mentioned that on here before in previous episodes of this show. It is outstanding. But I do think Netflix is probably going to continue to lose people because so many people had it for, I'm sure. Do they still have Friends in Seinfeld, or is that gone already too? Because didn't they pay some
Seinfeld they have.
They paid some crazy amount of money to keep it for a little bit longer, didn't they? Mm-hmm. But if that gets pulled and goes to NBC's
Office
Peacock,
is also over
Office
at Peacock, I think.
Yeah, like when they lose those staples, for lack of a better term, the original content's really good, but at some point,
I think Ozark is a strong enough stand-up on itself.
But it's over, isn't it?
Yes, just finished.
Yeah.
And it's a little shorter. But where House of Cards is tricky to see that having legs,
it's over, isn't it?
Yes,
or the final season, right?
Forever.
Yeah.
And going from last season into the last season, all the controversy with Kevin Spacey that was
he's not even in the
attached
last
to it.
season, is he?
No. No. They.
Yeah, no, I don't see. I see people getting Netflix for, but like it doesn't have the huge library that one would need
to have a lot, but
to appeal to a huge amount of people. Like I feel like Disney Plus is like the mecca of streaming apps because it's got so much different content that appeals to so many people.
Well, it's what they built.
Yes, but to have the MCU, to have the Disney stuff, to have all the Pixar, to have National Geographic, to have all those different things on it.
Yeah. Well, I think too one of the things people have talked a lot about is that Netflix, this is their only revenue stream. A lot of the people they're competing with, Apple and Apple TV, Apple makes 80% or whatever their revenues from iPhones. Amazon, the Amazon Prime is just kind of although we're going to talk about the $1 billion, they're going to spend on Lord of the Rings in a little bit. But, and all these other studios like Disney or whatever, they've got other things, just the actual revenue coming from movies and stuff like that, or theme parks or merchandising and stuff like that. I don't know, Netflix is going to have a rough. I would think it's going to have a rough go. Obviously, it's going to be a while before it falters. But I'm imagining most of these streaming services are going to get into this. As people are already doing, you subscribe for a month, you watch all the stuff you want to do, and then you go away for a while.
The rough thing I keep looking at with what Netflix is when they went from the DVDs over to the streaming service, they were ahead of that curve. And then when they created their new content, they were ahead of that curve. And I don't know if they are behind the curve or they have no idea where to go next, but I don't get a sense of they know what they have to do to survive anymore. And for a long time, I thought they keep reinventing themselves at exactly the right time. They're a smart business model. And they're still bigger than CBS, ABC, or NBC, or Fox. They're still bigger than those. But they're not bigger than the parents of those. Your, Paramount and your
Is it Comcast,
Universal,
Viacom, or
Comcast, Viacom, and Disney. Those are, ABC's parent is Disney. Disney's, bigger than Netflix could ever be. So they're bigger than the network they're competing with, but they're not bigger than the company that owns them. That's their trouble.
But does Netflix still has the most subscribers for a streaming service, right? Disney Plus doesn't have more than them, do they?
I don't think so.
No, and Disney Plus is an interesting model. Disney is an interesting model where they put the movie in the movie theater, and you go see it and pay for it, and then you pay for Disney Plus so you can watch it whenever you want when it comes out. And it's kind of like the comic book where they get you to buy the same thing in the issues, then the collected, and you're getting the same thing, so they really can get the money twice on it. Plus, maybe 3 times when you have to go down for the ride and take the picture with the princess and everything.
They're a machine.
I think this is the first time in a long time. They haven't made money for a couple of years, I don't think, but they're not going bankrupt. But the dividend checks have not been coming in since the pandemic. We've been lacking our 47-cent check a few times a year.
Speaking of lacking a check, that wasn't a good one.
Nailed it.
CNN Plus, we got to talk about. We didn't have a show last week, so we missed. Actually, a couple of these stories all happened last week. But so CNN Plus shuts down a month after. Actually, they moved it back 2 days, so it actually shut down less than a month after it launched. Obviously, you feel bad for all these people a bunch of people up and left and moved to CNN Plus to be part of this whole thing, which probably was not the smartest thing to do, as CNN and Warner Media, was about to be sold, which, obviously everyone believes is what happened here. But first of all, I think on the surface you look at it and go, why in the world would anyone want to pay additional money for a news, service of any kind, when you can kind of get, you go to CNN.com and you can watch a live stream. There's,
they had, what's the word I'm looking for? They had shows that were exclusive to CNN Plus. But I'm with you. I just don't know what original content they could have that would get me to go, I've been looking for another streaming service, and CNN Plus is what I need. That is what I need. I have been really wanting.
Their goal, I think, was the legitimacy, the real of journalism, the unaffected by advertising, the independence. And I don't think we're interested in that anymore. I think our interest in news right now is very much find me someone who says what I want to hear. And that's not the news anymore.
Right. It's all commentary.
Yeah, it's all opinion. It's preference. It's steeped in judgment or red-blue preferences.
So the interesting aspect of this story was, so AT&T was spinning. We didn't even talk about AT&T and Discovery, which plays a big role in this. You're talking about the kind of the monsters of the media world. So they were spinning off Warner Media. AT&T was going to sell it to Discovery, which is what happened. And so now Discovery owns HBO, it owns CNN, it owns all this other stuff. But while that stuff's going on, regulatory things happening, Discovery couldn't say, by the way, we're not going to launch this thing when we buy this. They can't say a single thing until the actual sale. And so as soon as the sale went through, they shut it down and it was over.
Didn't they say something like, we're going to bring it under one umbrella. We're going to have part of this still exist, just not as CNN Plus, right? Isn't that kind of the idea that, like, I don't know if it's going to be Discovery Plus or whatever they're going to call it, but
they already have Discovery Plus, which is
they want to house kind of all their content. Didn't they release something like they didn't say this, but basically we don't want people to pay. We know people aren't going to pay twice,
right.
So we're just going to bring this over here and hopefully get more subscribers to our service that we already run. It had some unbelievably low amount of people watching it or paying for it. Mm-hmm. It was not a big blockbuster release, so to speak.
No.
Speaking of blockbusters.
Oh, boy.
Okay, explain this to me. So, Justin, we have to have a Fast and Furious story, of course.
It's been too long.
It's been a while. Fast 10, and don't forget where there's going to be a Fast 11. Phew. So, Justin Lin is out as the director, claiming the rumor mill is that Vin Diesel's hard to get along with.
What?
Let's not forget, Justin Lin has directed 5 Fast and Furious movies. You'd think that maybe along the way he would have, if this was a problem between the two of them, this might have come up at some point during the last 4.
I don't think it's necessarily true that Vin Diesel's hard to get along with. I think the problem more is Vin Diesel sees himself in Rock's shadow. And Rock is a way bigger person than he is.
Sure.
And he's like the Rock light or the Rock old or the Rock over or whatever. I think that's...
Is this are we heading towards Fast 10 starring, produced, and directed by Vin Diesel?
Could
now,
be.
what's the offshoot film?
Hobbs
and Shaw.
I watched that. That was pretty funny.
That's the one with Jason Statham and The Rock?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was entertaining.
Well, unrelated to this, but related to The Rock. Well, I have not watched this Young Rock show.
I've
but
not either.
It seems, I see like clips and stuff. It seems like, do we really have a show about like literally The Rock's life? Like he's 50.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And it's like popular, I guess,
I don't know.
as shows on TV go now. Because like, if you're, it's all sports, and then like coming in at 47 is like maybe an award show, and then in 52 spots, here's a show that people like, a sitcom.
Well, a student of mine was talking about a show, Ghost. She's like, have you watched Ghost? I'm like, I've seen clips of it. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to add that show to my...
It's unbelievable the fall of like primetime TV and numbers. Do on-demand numbers count? If people like on-demand it or record it? If I record a show, does that count in the
I don't know.
in the viewership?
I assume they have a way to track that.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a simple search on the
Sure.
old Google machine could tell me this. I think, but why do that when we could just ask rhetorical questions and not know the answers on TV?
Much better.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I still have cable, and we still watch some network shows, I'll call them, but we're certainly not watching when they're on, and we don't, look forward to them by any means. I'm like, should we watch another episode of This Is Us or season 3 of Breaking Bad? Pretty easy decision,
Well, and as live sports being one of the few things that was kind of the last holdout for networks, and now that's all starting to get picked away. While TV is going to be doing some baseball, and ESPN obviously took Monday Night Football, but some of the NFL football games a while back. So
and I don't get sports. I think need to reevaluate their blackout rules and so on and so forth, because I think we mentioned on here with ESPN Plus, my friend who lives in Harrisburg area cannot get Penguins or I can't get any of them on ESPN Plus. They're all blacked out because he's like regional. He's like, I live 3+ hours away. How am I regional? And so I mean, he's in that like Philadelphia, DC bubble of like stuff. So
we need some rabbit ears to watch them?
I'm very tall.
Ding.
Rabbit ears. I think might get it.
Oh, that's my...
Ding!
Ding.
So,
ready.
real quick, we're almost out of
Sharp.
time. Anything to say about Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial?
Didn't we talk about that last time?
Just about the
Someone
finger.
here is a child interested in it.
Yeah. My daughter's extremely interested in trial, so she's been watching nonstop.
Well,
Bill Murray, they halt production, inappropriate behavior. I mean, the man has a history of this. Hollywood claims to clean it up, but are they really cleaning up sets in any way, shape, or form?
I think when the gun is not only smoking, but literally ablaze and firing, then people start doing something. Until then, it's very much Johnny Depp's a perfect example of that. Yeah. I mean, you have two people getting married to one another who are pretty odd people and have a strange relationship. And I'm not saying one person's good, right, wrong, or indifferent, but the things that were surreptitiously recorded by one person of the other person doing are odd. They are strange.
And lastly, strange, Sam Raimi has disappointing update on Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 movie. I love this quote. I currently don't have any plans to make Spider-Man 4. There you go. And they're so successful in the new Spider-Man series
clickbait.
that I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I haven't pursued that. So he hasn't even thought about it.
Update on
Headline
Spider-Man 4.
It's
Not thought about at all.
This weekend, I think the number one movie is going to be Doctor Strange.
Probably.
I'm guessing by a wide margin, but we'll have to check next week on Inside Media Weekly to find out. Thanks for joining us.